Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan. Today I'm playing a 2 versus 2 on Wanson Harbour, and this is actually my first Wargame video in a very long time, and actually the first Wargame video I've done since the release of Red Dragon. Now, I was incredibly excited to manage to get back into the game after taking quite a long break for uni work. Now this video doesn't mean I'm back just yet. It just means that I can get a video out now, and I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. So today I have a game which I played with Big Lowell and myself on one team against Ryan and Berserk Jack on the enemy team. Now Brandon actually does his own YouTube videos, so I will leave a link to his channel in the description. He does gameplays, and recently he's been playing a couple of games with me, so he might be uploading them soon if you would like to take a look. Anyway, today I'm playing with a Commonwealth deck, and it's the same as one I've used before. It's pretty simple. It comes with a lot of decent helicopter infantry, and also has some of the really good Commonwealth tanks and aircraft. So we got the Eurofighters, we got the Aardvarks, we got the Challenge 2s, and we've got everything else like SAS and so on. So a very nice rounded force. This probably my favourite deck, and I thought because I'm coming back to Wargame after such a long time, I'll try and use a deck that I know will work for myself. Now, I'm not entirely sure what Brandon was using throughout the game, but as the game goes on, hopefully you will find out. So, what am I starting with? Well, I was going to go with lots of SAS to begin with, and basically fly over to Delta and plonk down lots of SAS in these buildings. Brandon was helping me out with this map, telling me whereabouts people normally attack from, because I've never actually played this one before, but honestly I really like it. It's nice because it's very focused, and it's very good for a 1v1 and 2v2 because there is not many sectors, which allows the combat to be more focused, but the map's still big, which allows for strategic play. And I think that's how most of the maps should be, but sometimes on some of the bigger maps, they have conquest points that are really far out, which cause contention in places that breaks the momentum of the game. In this case, that doesn't happen because all of the battles end up focused around this center part here, with this town. And then we've got a smaller town on the right just here, which has a lot of combat in it. I apologise for the lag at the start there. Sometimes Wargame takes a little while to get used to the rendering the map. But after a while, it should be fine. So anyway, let's go over my starting forces. I've got 3 Lynx 3s. I kind of shunned away from using all those SAS and decided that anti-helicopter would be a good way to go at the start. The only thing that I was really debating about at the start was what aircraft I should bring in. I could afford a Eurofighter or an Aardvark. I chose the risky option, which is an Aardvark, and the reason I say that's a risky option is because if the enemy had any aircraft at this point and I didn't have a Eurofighter to shoot them down, my Lynx 3s are incredibly vulnerable and extremely expensive. So anyway, these Lynx AH1s have SAS. They're heading to this town here. We've got some Lynx AH1s with javelins to shoot down enemy helicopters. Then we've got some couple of SAS squads moving to the right side of Delta, a command squad that's going to drop at the back, and then we've got a Lynx AH1 which is going to drop off its Milan squad to try and kill some of these units. Now, I've got 3 Lynx 3s here, and they all have Hellfire missiles. They're pushing forwards with a lot of BT-152s. It's actually allowing me to get some pretty nice shots onto some of these APCs and kill the squads before they get out. But they managed to kill 2 of my SAS squads before they landed into this area with the Ponge. And those radar missiles really hurt my Lynx AH1, which allowed them to kill the SAS squads. So now I have to kind of retreat the Lynx 3s because they do have some Type 80 Spags here, which are basically AAA anti-air. I don't want them getting in range of my Lynx 3s because they're going to kill them very quickly if they do. So instead I bring my Lynx 3s back. I bring in my Aardvark, which provides this bombing run here. and that kills a large amount of the infantry to begin with. So they had 4 units of Yakudes in this town here, and they've got another 4 here. But these guys are now panicked after the bombing run as well. And you can see what I was talking about with these spags. Well, now I'm just trying to kill them, because if I can get rid of them, then I won't have to worry about them anymore, and I can turn my attention to these BMP-1Ds and these Sturms, which are costing the enemy a lot of points. Now, one thing you'll notice is this game isn't actually Conquest. It's a destruction game. It kind of caught me out a bit because Brandon decided to use this game mode, but I was all for it. I didn't really mind. But instead it just means that these kills on these BMP-1Ds and Sturms are actually pretty important, because these Sturms are worth 50 points. And you can see this aircraft just shot down is worth a good few points. That's an Su-25, I want to say. Either way, it's dead. And we've got 2 BMP-1Ds, which we destroyed here, which are worth about, let's have a look, 20 points each. So every little helps. And now I've got my Lynx AH-7 providing fire onto these BTRs, which are pressing onto my infantry in this town. Now, ultimately, I only had these Javelins, and the Milan team, this lad Javelin squad, has already shot down a Yak and this plane that crashed over here. Unfortunately, I can't remember exactly what that was. I've got my Lynx AH-1 still in the area. They are being attacked by BTR-152s, which is a bit unfortunate because they can't fire back because the BTRs are armoured and the Lynx AH-1's machine guns won't do anything. But it's amazing how little damage these Yakudes did to my Javelins in this engagement. You can see the Yakudes, because they're panicked, they're incredibly inaccurate. And it's basically making them completely miss 4 men of the Javelin squad, which is hilarious in my opinion. They stand there for ages trying to kill them, eventually killing one squad, and then they can focus down the other. Now, while this has been going on, Brandon's done a good job of pushing Delta Force and Navy SEALs into the centre town here. He's fighting against Motostrelki and BMP-1Ds. Now, the BMP-1Ds come with grenade launchers, which are incredibly effective against infantry. They're also incredibly good against light armoured APCs, as you can see here. So you can see all the grenades coming in, doing tons of damage. My Fusiliers are being blown out of their APCs, and I'm going to have to retreat them as quickly as possible. Just before I unload this APC, it gets hit by a band tank faggot, which is a bit unfortunate. But luckily, the BMP-1Ds don't have line of sight on these Fusiliers, which allows me to get them away. Now, I'm going to move to my perspective from now on, because it allows me to show you the amount of points I'm picking up from these kills, which is a very important part of the destruction game mode, and also gives you perspective of what I can see coming against me on the map. So, Brandon's always bringing up more Navy SEALs and Delta Force, and he's using them to kill these Motostrelki slowly but surely. However, Ryan on the opposing team is using his BMP-1Ds very effectively, and these grenade launchers are doing a lot of damage. Now, he also has them backed up by those man tank faggots. If we go to the neutral's perspective, these ones have been taken out, but they have moved another squad into this building just here. And now I've managed to bring my Lynx 3s back from resupply to pick off the rest of these BMP-1Ds, which is going to help Brandon secure the centre town. So now Brandon's Delta Force are engaged with 4 units of Yakudes and a couple of BTR-152s, which have brought them in. And I'm now trying to get my helicopters into positions where they can help out. The only reason I'm not moving the Lynx 3s forwards at the moment is because I spotted the Pongue. I don't know that it doesn't have any ammo, and we've got a Strela 10M coming through the town. So I'm only moving forwards my CH-118 gunships and the Lynx AH-1s to try and help out with these infantry. Now, the gunships are awesome. I love the fact that they have these twin miniguns, but I'm obviously aware that they do have AA in this area, so I do have to be careful, but I allow it to stay there and continue firing, give fire support for these Delta Force. because it does do a lot of damage to the infantry until the Pongay finally shoots it down. Also manages to kill these 2 Lynx AH1s, but they didn't have any squads in them, so that is just fine. Now throughout the game you see Brandon bringing in his Phantom to basically napalm the town in different areas. He's already napalmed here, he's napalmed here, and this is just allowing him to maneuver his Delta Force more efficiently through the town. It's also managing to keep recon on the sea to make sure that there's no enemy boats coming in, because he was telling me about how a Eudoloi could potentially come into this harbour area here and just destroy the rest of the map with its long-range main gun. And then that would be a huge issue that we would have to deal with, but luckily the enemy did not decide to use that tactic throughout the game. Now because Brandon's Delta Force have been in this situation for a very long time, I have had chance to start to bring up some more Fusiliers, and these will help secure this town for us. Now ideally what I should have done to help Brandon's Delta Force a lot earlier on is moved up these spare squads of Fusilier 90s and SAS. This would have allowed us to basically kill these Yakuday squads much quicker before the BTR 152s came into play and started ripping on the Delta Force of Brandon. There isn't actually much defending this area at the moment, and I think that the enemy missed a trick here by not sending any units through this forest. Now all of their units are currently in this area here. If we actually zoom out, that is all the enemy has. We don't know that at this point in time, but that is the case right now. And because we're so heavily focused on dealing with all this infantry that's pushing through this town, we haven't actually pressed up through the centre. There's something that Brandon maybe could have taken advantage of, but because of his contestation with the Motorshoki in the centre, he's not entirely sure whether he's able to move forward yet. Anyway, to deal with these Yakudays, I need to make sure that there's no AA that's going to be able to take down my Aardvark. So I bring in 2 Sea Harrier FA2s, and they manage to destroy the Pongay. Now this allows me to bring in the Aardvark that I have been waiting for, and this bad boy flies over the battlefield ready to bomb these Yakuday squads. I preemptively move back my Fusiliers so that they are out of the radius of the explosion. As soon as the explosion lands, I move them back up again. This brings them in range of the APCs and also helps them destroy the last squads of the Yakudays. Now the enemy has brought up 3 Gyeongbong squads, and these are napalm. They use flamethrowers to basically kill enemy infantry. And as you can see here, Brandon's slowly moving up his Delta Force after napalming the centre of Echo. We still have control over Delta, but this is the main contention right here, as my 8 squads of Fusiliers basically start to annihilate the 3 Gyeongbong squads of Berserk Jack. Now just to help out, I move up the FB432s, and the FB432s barely take any damage from the flamethrowers, so it allows them to give continual fire support against these infantry. And now the enemies are making a proper push back. Bringing up 2 T80s, we've got these 2 Mi-24s back here, we've got 2 Strela 10Ms coming in, and some very heavy AA. Now, of course, I still have my Lynx 3s. I've unfortunately lost one to the AA of Berserk Jack. Here you can see a Yak 38 coming in and basically napalming my Fusiliers. I preemptively moved back my Fusilier squads before the napalm hit, so that basically allowed them to dodge the bullet there. But now Ryan is moving his T-80s very close to the infantry in this town. And I was thinking, as soon as these Gyeongbong squads are dead, I'll be able to move my Fusiliers into this town sector here and fire basically immediately at the T-80s with the heat rockets of the Fusiliers. That didn't need to happen because, as you can see, my Lynx 3s managed to get a couple of Asia Gems into the front of one of those C80s and blow them the hell up. However, I do spot these Strela 10Ms on the way and quickly retreat my Lynx 3s out of range. So now these 4 units of Yakudays are taking on my Fusiliers. Very close quarters combat. Unfortunately, my other Fusiliers can't fire or help out at all. But basically, in order to make way for another Aardvark, I bring in 2 Sea Harriers once again to destroy their new Pongay, sacrifice my Fusilier squad, and basically try and destroy the rest of their squads as quickly as possible. The Strela 10M were in this forest, so they didn't have a clear line of sight to shoot at my Aardvark, which is why my Aardvark managed to get out just fine. And if we switch to my point of view, I can't exactly tell how much damage I did, but it did do a reasonable amount and left a lot of the squads with only 5 men left. So I'm still bringing up reinforcements. Here you can see my Lynx AH1s trying to land and drop out their SAS squads. Now, SAS squads are extremely good. They come with their 4 Stinger missiles, which are reasonable against helicopters, and they also have their 83mm heat rockets, which are good against ground targets. Now Ryan's trying to bring forward his T-80 to provide fire support for these Yakudays against the Fusiliers. Now I think this was a bit of a mistake on his part because it basically put my Fusiliers in range to fire their heat rockets just straight into the front of the tank. And at that range, the actual AP power of the rockets is enhanced greatly. Now the 2 Lynx AH1s that just dropped off the SAS got shot down by the Strela 10M, so it reveals their position. And there's not much I can do about that at the moment until I can get some troops close enough to take them out. So I'm just basically focusing on dealing with the Yakudays. So while this has all been going on, Brandon's been bringing up some more Delta Force in the center sectors and moving up the Navy SEALs on the left. We've still got this Delta Force squad here, which I think could have been used a bit more proactively to push into Echo and find out that there's not much there. That would have allowed us to move through the town a lot more quickly and press our advantage against their CV, because finding out that there's nothing in this part of the sector basically means that anywhere along here there's going to be a command vehicle. We could have, by a process of elimination, we could have basically said that there's not a CV here because we would be able to see it because of the line of sight. There could have been a CV in behind one of these buildings here, or there could have been one behind here, which is actually the case. Anywhere around there wouldn't have been so because the recon from the Delta Force, being elite infantry, would have been able to see them. Now moving up the Delta Force, we do actually spot the UAZ, and now we're just planning to kill that, to basically leave them at even more of a disadvantage. Ryan's once again bringing up some T-55s this time to provide fire support onto my Fusiliers in this area. I bring in a couple of Sea Harriers, managed to destroy another Pongay, and we also managed to fire a couple of anti-air missiles at the Yak. Now my Aardvark comes in, does take a hit from the Strela 10M, but ultimately bombs the crap out of their CV and leaves Echo neutral. Now just as Brandon begins to move his Delta Force even more further up, Ryan does actually manage to get some BMP-1Ds and Motostrelki into this building here. And the BMP-1Ds and the Delta Force are left out in the open on the bridge, just annihilate them completely with the grenade launchers. And there you can see just how effective the BMP-1Ds are with those grenade launchers. Now that is one sort of combo that I really like, is using BMP-1Ds with Motostrelki. I think they complement each other very well. The Motostrelki are cheap, while the BMP-1Ds are also pretty cheap, but provide immense ground cover against enemy infantry. And they're very effective against killing infantry that's on the edge of towns, because the grenade launchers, I believe, can fire a longer range than the enemy's heat rockets can fire back, which is very, very helpful. And also, one thing to note is that those grenade launchers can actually be fired at enemy helicopters that fly over them. So there, the SAS squads managed to pick off a yak. That gives us a nice lump of points. And I managed to dodge out of the way of some more napalm by just moving my Fusiliers to a different sector. Now, unfortunately, one of my Lynx trees does go down here. I'm already saying goodbye as he runs into range of 2 Strela 10Ms. And I get my Lynx AH7 out of there as well, just so I don't waste that unnecessarily, because those 68mm rocket pods actually can do a serious amount of damage. Although, one thing that I probably should have done is sent the Lynx AH7 forward first. Then if that got shot down, I would have been able to save the Lynx 3, which is worth a lot more points. Either way, I'm now reinforcing this sector on the right in case the enemy decides to push through this forest or down this road. So I'm bringing up some HGMs, some Milan 2 squads, and I've also got a couple of Javelin squads to help with these SAS. So another 2 Sea Harriers coming in now to try and take out any more of the enemy's radar AA. Unfortunately, they got to grips with the fact that I'm using a lot of seed now and are only using infrared AA, which basically means that my Sea Harrier gets shot down because of that. But basically what it allows for me to do is bring in the aardvark after the AA is fired at the Sea Harrier, and I bomb the crap out of them. Again, I managed to actually destroy those 2 pieces of AA there. Brandon brings in his Nighthawk and once again destroys the new UAZ of the enemy, which is sitting next to 2 Korshuns, and now Brandon's lads Stingers are firing at the 2 Mi-24s of Berserk Jack. Now, while this has been going on, Brandon's also been pushing on the water with 2 Oliver Hazard Perrys. He's using a Kiowa to identify where the enemy CV is, and it's basically allowing us to get a foothold, which I'm going to reinforce him with on the sea and take out their sea sector to prevent them from surprising us on the water. As you can see at this point, we're left with 2,710 points on our team and 1,490 on the enemy team as Berserk Jack actually surrenders. But now we're pushing to win the game. I brought in a couple of Lynx HAs S2s. These have anti-ship missiles, and what they're planning to do is sit by this spawn point here. So if the enemy brings in enemy ships at Foxtrot, we'll have the Oliver Hazard Perrys there ready to take them out, but also my Lynx HAs will be able to fire immediately into the side of them. Now Brandon's brought up a TACOM squad, and this is arriving in a Huey and planning to neutralize the sector of Foxtrot, so we no longer have to worry about this reinforcement point, and then we can focus purely on the center and pushing towards Gulf. So I get my SAS squad in range to take out the T-55 that was left on this side, and now I'm planning to move my SAS over the bridge and see what they can find. Now while they're moving over, they do get engaged upon by the RPDs of the Yeo Kokde. Luckily I only lose a couple of guys from the squad before they get into the cover of the forest. I've moved forwards a Grizzly CP to capture Echo, and I'm using my Lynx 3 on this side of the town to snipe their BMP-1Ds that they finally decided to reverse. Now, it's a nice idea of the enemy to try and use a grad to basically pepper Echo, because he could get a lucky hit and hit the CV if we were using an unarmored one, but that's exactly why I'm using a Grizzly, just so that that isn't the case. Now, over on this side, there was 4 supply trucks and 2 Strela 10Ms. I actually destroyed the row of supply trucks here, caused a chain reaction which blew up one of the Strela 10Ms. Then the Strela 10M that was next to them got taken out by the SAS, and that was a successful incursion by that squad. Now, because of that, one SAS squad is moving very far up. They actually send a couple of things to try and cut it off. But as soon as the BMP-1D comes in range, he does manage to basically get a nice kill onto that squad with the grenade launcher. Ideally, I would have stopped the SAS squad quicker and used the heat rocket that they have in order to destroy the BMP-1D, because that would have been perfectly possible, but instead the SAS squad died. So now, with a TACOM squad neutralizing Foxtrot, Brandon's using a Navy SEAL squad to sequentially go through the buildings and try and find the enemy's CV. And we can't exactly see much at this point, so we're a bit scared about pushing over this river, if you're wondering why. And we're basically waiting on this sector to be cleared so we can bring in reinforcements from this point here. The Navy SEALs finally find the UAZ that was capturing Foxtrot, and now it opens up our reinforcement on this side of the map. The Yak that came in does get shot down, but does hit a nice napalm onto these Delta Force, which puts them into line of sight of the Geococday, and well, needless to say, they don't last very long. Seeing those Geococday there though, it's now time to blow them the hell up with a Aardvark. And if we go back to the neutral perspective, there is nothing left in this area. So now it's time for the final push. Myself and Brandon decided that enough was enough. One person's already surrendered. Let's finish the game. So we've got LVTPs coming in. These LVTPs have their own grenade launchers and an M2 Browning machine gun. Very good support vehicles for infantry versus infantry combat. And at this point, I'm also going to bring in my own Challenger 2. Now, while we've been focusing so hard on the left, I have further been reinforcing the right with these Stormer HVMs. These are really nice ADATS units which can fire against both air and ground units very effectively. They only have a AP power of 12, which makes them effective against medium to light vehicles, but not anything heavy like tanks. They will only end up doing 1 damage in the front armor at max range, which kind of sucks. But they are good against helicopters with a HE power of 5. And continuously, Brandon's bringing in a Nighthawk here to bomb certain areas of this town. There's not much left here, though. And now an Mi-24 that's come forwards to prevent the advance of these US Marines is being a pain in the ass for Brandon, so he asked me to help out. Managed to get my Lynx 3 forwards to fire an infrared missile, but it already dies to his US Marines, which he manages to push forwards into a building close enough to shoot that down. Now, after he's dropped out his US Marines, he actually splits up his LVTPs into a fan motion, which allows him to sweep across the area to Gulf very effectively. And it basically means that anything in this town is completely pointless because it doesn't have a meaningful impact on the game at this point. We're just going round it by reinforcing from this area. I've bought up 2 Stormer HVMs and I've got a Challenger 2 which is going to help and kill this FOB. I also said to Brandon to kill the Grad before it managed to fire onto our forces and stun them, because that would have been a big issue. And I've also got a tracked Rapier FSA here, slowly creeping up to deal with any aircraft that come our way. So now I've brought up some Leopard AS1s from earlier. These came from all the way back here, and well, they're going to help the Fusiliers pushing across this bridge with the motor Strelky. Now, needless to say, my Fusiliers aren't having a great time against these motor Strelky, especially sitting on a bridge like this. So instead I decide to just, you know, sacrifice the Fusiliers and try and kill the motor Strelky. The motor Strelky get extremely lucky. The bombs fly over the top of the motor Strelky and actually miss them, and they actually survive. But at this point, we found their UAZ, and Brandon's moving in for the kill. Our Challenger 2 is taking on these two T-80Us and doing a fine job, but is taking a lot of HGM damage. But with the UAZ being killed, that is good game, and after 27 minutes and 54 seconds, we win by total victory. So, an awesome game there. Really fun to play with some new people. I actually went on to the Rapak. If you guys know ICBM Raptor 2, another YouTuber, I've been on his TeamSpeak lately and playing with a few guys on there, which has been really fun. So if you want to check ICBM Raptor 2 out, also check Big Lowell out. I'll leave his channel in the description. So, there you go, you can see that Brandon did a decent job with 1,265 kills to 710 losses. Myself got 2,675 kills to 1,220 losses, and as you can see, the scores of the enemies there. Now, it's a pity that the replay doesn't necessarily save the kills that the units got, but basically what happened was the Aardvark got a huge amount of infantry kills, like 2 pages worth, and then the Lynx 3s also did a fine job managing to take down enemy helicopters and the enemy APCs on the ground, as well as a few decent tanks like the T-80s. So, like I say, a very nice game. Didn't focus very much on the sea, which for some of you might be a bit disappointing, but because there was so much focus on land, especially considering you can't actually capture anything with the ships, you know, it kind of meant that the gameplay was going to go that way anyway. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you appreciate the fact that I got a video out for you guys. I am still very busy, and like I say, we'll be going full-time on YouTube in May, so look forward to that. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.